Hello, everybody. It's Kate Richburg, and welcome to Free Tip Friday. I feel like the screen is a little hazy, so let me put on the that slider, wipe off the screen. There we go. I think that's a little better, maybe. I don't know. Let's try that. There we are. I feel like I'm a little shiny. Anyway, I'm here with my frog pin, my Travis earrings. I'm ready for you. All right, let's get this party started on this Friday, November 3rd. I hope everyone's having a good November so far, right? Kind of crazy. Let's take a look and see. Gosh, so many people are here. Jumping in and saying hello. Drea is on our YouTube doing some moderating. She's got COVID, Ardria, but she's doing okay. She's hanging in there. Not even a mild COVID case can stop our Drea. So, Drea, we all hope you're getting better soon. We've got everybody here. I'm just looking at the, yes, this is my froggy pin. I'll show you. I'll put it underneath here so you folks can see it. This is one of my pieces from my vintage collection. All right. Oh, Kathleen, thank you so much. I so appreciate that you're tuning in. Thank you, Diane, for reminding people to give everyone a thumbs up. I'm going to toast you with a little coffee here. Yeah, this is the good one. I have 2 coffee cups here, right? I have another one over there that has old coffee. I picked correctly. Thank goodness. This is the new one. This is the new coffee. I love it. There's someone from Istanbul, Nurten. All right. Great to have you. Awesome. It's great to have everybody here. It's a good Friday. I mean, not Good Friday. You know what I mean? It's a good Friday to be being creative. Let's add my other camera in there. There we are. I put the frog in here so you folks can see it. I'm going to tell you folks right now before I get any further. Don't forget, my friends, to follow us on All Places Bead Shop. You can find us on Facebook at The Bead Table, on Instagram, on Pinterest. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification button right on YouTube. If you're a first-time watcher, welcome. If you're a seasoned watcher, welcome back. We are so, so grateful for you folks always for being here with us. Any questions? Shoot an email out to Ardria at info@beadshop.com. That customer service whiz will get right back to you. So let's see. I've got another couple of comments that I want to say here. And yes, let me just do that. Drea, a little service note from Drea. My friends, don't forget, if you have emailed in, don't forget to check that junk spam folder and that your inbox isn't full. Drea always responds. She is the best responder, I'll tell you. Number one. So if you don't hear from us, check that spam, check those folders, and make sure that you are good to go. Chris is leaving for the store, so I'm saying goodbye, or looking at him, saying goodbye with my eyes. Curtis is saying that they are listening into the car while driving to Chicago. I've always wanted to go to Chicago. I have a friend in Chicago right now, and she's doing kind of an Art Deco-y tour and posting all of these great Art Deco buildings. Someday I will get to Chicago. It is supposed to be amazing, and someday I'll get there. Okay. Oh, and my mama is here. My dear mama. Hello, everyone. All right. Well, as you know, our Friday show is a little more casual, so I like to do a little bit of chatting. But if you've noticed, my friends, that Ellen has been doing a really great job with our broadcast. She's working from the new broadcasts and working backwards. the broadcasts now are having timestamps, right? So you can look in the comments or in the description below, and you can see those timestamps. So when you're like, Kate, I've had enough of your chatting, Missy, you can forward through and get to the meat of what you're looking for. Okay, so a big thank you to Ellen. That's something I've wanted to do for forever. And Ellen is taking that task in hand and making it happen. So thank you so much for that. I think you folks will have a little bit of an easier time navigating. So that's my goal, always to improve. So let me show you. Let's take a look at the project here. I've got some other things to show you. Here's my frog. My mom will recognize this frog right here. It's a Cornelian frog. It's vintage. You've seen me wear it before. You've seen me talk about this before, probably. But this came, it's a clip, actually, like a fur clip. I don't know, old. And it came from one of my grand's dearest friends and the mom of one of my mom's dearest friends, Dorothy Jonason. She was very instrumental in, I think, forming my sartorial and my my kind of quirky taste. Dorothy was amazing. She was our neighbor in let me see if I can get this focused. In Gilroy, her husband was a pilot and flew all over, and she had all of these treasures. And so this was one of her treasures that I've had forever. And she gave it to me because my nickname when I was a kid, my mom will know what it is, was Frog. It is true. So there it is. I think it's a fur clip, Kathleen. I think it could have been. I think shoe clips were a little bit different, the clip part. So I think this might have gone in a fur, but I just love him, my Cornelian frog. Anyway, that's the story there, my vintage jewelry piece for today. Let me clip it back on my sweater. Time for cashmere, friends. Get out those sweaters. It is time. Okay. Let's take a look at a few things here. I've got two things I want to share with you today. One, this project that we're calling Potpourri. We thought we were going to call it Melange, but we already have a Melange mix or a Melange project. So we quickly, Claire updated the slider, and so we are calling this Potpourri. I started this with the Melange monthly mix that we did for September. This was my our Melange mix of all kinds of different things. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to close this sucker off. I also, and Melange is the mix, friends. We were going to call it medley. Sorry. Thanks, Drea. We were going to call it medley. Now the project is called Potpourri. And we still, if I'm not mistaken, we redid the Melange mix because you folks loved it so much. I think we still have a few left. So if you love it, go over to the website and pick yourself up a tube because we're not going to remake it again. But I love it. It has all these shapes in it. I love, Drea, that you're in cashmere PJs. I better get myself some cashmere PJs. What Drea does, I always do what Drea does. She's very smart that way. And yes, indeed, after the show, I am going to go over to my mom's house. We are finishing up some things for her church boutique, which is in 2 weeks, I think. So if you are in the Fresno, Clovis area, it's the Clovis First Methodist Church boutique. And I believe, Mama, it's the 11th and 12th, perhaps. You can confirm that in the chat there. Okay. Yes, I was known as Froggy. Yeah, sometimes she'd call me Frog for short. But yes, it's true. Dorothy was fantastic. She was so interesting. So good. All right. So I'm going to show you this. I'm also going to show you we've got some new leathers in. That's right. But I'm going to show you that in the second part of the show. Let's talk about this one first. Okay. So when I started this bracelet, let me just go over what I did with it. I used skinny leather because we had it, right? So I used the 0.5. I think I used actually 1 millimeter here. This is 0.5. This is the 1 millimeter, I believe. Though the size varies a little bit. Let me see. I'll have to go back and watch the show. Drea, maybe you know because you've been doing the page for it. So no, it's just under 1. So it's a 1 millimeter. Okay. I know my mom is saying November 11th only, and I am very chatty today. I don't know. I'm just glad that everyone's here, I guess. I don't know. I'm glad October's over. I don't know. Anyways, so 1 millimeter here. I looped through a doubled strand of leather through the clasp. Andrea, I used mahogany, I think. Whatever this color is. Good thing I checked. The natural wet red brown. That's not what we call it, though. I think it's mahogany, maybe. Or it could be distressed brown. One of the two. Any of them will work. So I cut a doubled long strand, doubled it over twice, right? Doubled one strand over, doubled another strand over, and put it through the clasp in these really cool, I love these little beehive clasps that we have here. They're such a pretty clasp. A little reminder note, see how these clasps have that little nub that fit right here in that little hole? You want to make sure and get that in there because that's what keeps this from sliding off. If you don't get it in the little hole, see how the clasp doesn't quite work. So kind of turn it, or you can kind of feel it, and it'll click. There it goes. It'll click right into, there it is, right into the little hole, the little space right there. Okay. So that's what I used there. I used a tube of Melange mix. I used the apricot KO here because it went nicely with this leather. And what I did, and you can watch that back episode, it'll all be linked when we finish the project page for you folks. But essentially I started small with some small beads and just kind of put the beads in and around as I saw fit. So I've got the quarter tilas, 11/0, full tilas, half. I've got the bugles, 6/0, more bugles. Here are the Miyuki drops, and I wanted to show you the back of that. The back of the Miyuki drops, see how I use the 11/0 in there? So the 11/0 kind of hold these drops nicely in the wrap. And then I went back to those bugles. Same thing here. So I just kind of played around with everything and laddered it until I felt like changing the design. Okay. Andrea says she's working on the project page right now. Let me focus again. Here. Go zoom out, zoom back in, get that focused. Okay. So I want to show you a few things about this piece today. Number one, I want to show you just a couple of little laddering tricks here, right? Then I want to show you there's a request to show how to change the thread over, because remember I'm using infinity stitch here, not the traditional 2 needle laddering, just a single needle and just with a single strand of the KO. And then I want to show you how to close it. Okay, so let's go ahead and untangle this. It was untangled for a hot minute. Whoops. And I think I just dropped a needle. Perfect. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in, and if I was doing this for a long period of time, longer than I'm going to do this demo, I'd put a little, like an old Pro Polish pad or a little piece of felt or something right here when I clip this on so I don't damage the beads. I wonder if I have an old Pro Polish pad. I do. I actually have a new Pro Polish pad, but I'm going to do that. Or a little piece of ultra suede or whatever. Okay, but that will keep the beads from getting marred by my clip. Okay, so on this side over here, of course, we want it to be nice and, let me zoom out a little bit, nice and tight on the other side for the laddering so it stays, right? So I'm going to come in, pull these apart, and I'm going to clip them here. And then I would do that same thing on this side, but I'm going to do this one here real quick. And of course, yes, I dropped my needle, but I have another one sitting right here. So with this project that I'm laddering, I've just done short little bursts of design here. And I think that this is the perfect project for just making it up on the fly, right? I just ladder the beads in how you're kind of moved by it, right? So I'm going to use these 6/0 for a bit. I think I brought the tube. Where did I put the tube of? Oh, it's sitting right next to me. So each tube, we don't really count how many beads or anything that are in the tubes, right? We just mix it and then we go for it, put them in the tubes. So what you have in the tubes, the amounts will vary. It should be pretty equal because we start the mix with an equal amount of everything. We put a little fewer amount of the 11/0 in just to balance them. But see, look at how nice that looks. 2 of the 6/0 and then 1 6/0, 2 11/0. That looks pretty nice. Do I have any more 6/0 here? I've got one. Let me dump out my tube. See what I've got. And the needle I'm using, you know what needle I'm using, one of my favorites. It's the sharp, the size 10 sharp. And, I'm just noticing this now, and I'm not sure why I did it this way, to be honest. I'm only using a single strand of this KO. I connected the KO back here underneath the silk wrap I did with the leather. And I just strung up the needle for one, strung up the needle on the other, and used one for one side, one for the other. Usually when I'm doing infinity stitch, I double over my KO thread and use it doubled. I think it'll be fine, this single strand. I'm actually just noticing it now. I have no idea why I did that, but the beads are so light. There's not a lot of heavy beads or anything in here. So I think it'll be fine. And the threads are actually going through doubled, right? Because they go once one way and back through the beads the other. So I think they'll be fine. I'm not overly concerned. If it was a bead that was heavier or a semi-precious or something like that, I would definitely want it doubled. Okay, definitely. But go through, back through, and down. Okay. And Drew's asking me a couple of questions, and sorry, I am also out of focus. There we go. Okay, let me answer some questions here. Yes, sharps or beading needles work well. Size 10 or 12 are best. Size 10 is really my go-to, but 12s will work if you have them. How many yards of leather? I would get, Drea, it depends on how many wraps you want to do. I would say this leather is ridiculously long. I have way too much leather here. I would get 3 to 4 yards of leather. 3 yards, you cut that in half, you'll have a yard and a half. You'll double that over, and that'll be enough for each, I think, of the wraps. Yeah, sorry about that out of focus thing. Sorry, the camera likes to do that. Let me back off this just a little bit. All of these super high res stuff, they're super sensitive to adjustments, I guess. Let me get this one out of the way. I'm going to use some tiles or some Tila beads right here. These guys. And to transition, I just make the transition. No big deal. Right? I'll just start putting on a different bead. I won't do any fancy, connections or anything. I'll just start another strand, right? That's it. So with this 2-hole, I'll do the top hole, and then I'll do the second hole. And then go down. And then we'll go here. And I'll put a few of these in. I want to make this, I'll check it on my wrist in a little bit. I have got a couple of inches to do here. So let's just hang out while I ladder. And can you see how I do this? I actually am going from my left over to my right and back from the right to the left. And I put the needle in both hands. Pardon me. So here's, pardon me, here's my left hand holding the Tila bead, going back through, over the right, underneath, then around that leather, back through the top hole, under the left-hand side, fixing the tension, and then popping down to the right, the bottom hole, and see how my needle is going over the left-hand cord and under the right-hand cord here. Okay. So you just keep going. That's the infinity stitch. Now you can check our skill builders in on beadshop.com. We've got skill builders on all of this basic laddering. What we're going to be doing coming up in the new year, as you know, we just finished our master class, the big advanced necklace stringing class. The master class for the first part of 2024 is going to be all about laddering. Ladder bracelets, multiple strands, all of that business. So it's going to be really fun. It'll be 6 episodes on ladder bracelets. The date will be determined. Probably it'll be the first Wednesday again. And then for the second half of the year, I'm not sure what master classes we are going to jump into. But these Tila beads go so fast. And look at how nice they look, just one next to the other. So I'm about right here. I want to get this one also this length. So let me move to this one. Let me see if I can see where I dropped my needle. If I can't, I'll grab a new one, but I need a second needle here, right? Drea's just finished the potpourri, and she says potpourri lives in tricks to laddering. You'll see it there with all of the stuff. And yes, I found my needle. There is a bead god. Thank goodness. or goddess, maybe. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and needle that thread. And I like the way this little section was here. So maybe I'll do another section of these guys with the Miyuki drops. So one 11-aught, one Miyuki drop, another 11-aught. Oh, and I know what's the matter here. I've got to clip this down. Pardon my reach there. And let's just go through. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Okay, so don't get your needles confused here. I actually need to go under this side. There we go. Now I've gone here, and we'll go here. We'll tighten everything up. Move that bugle down so it's even. Come on. There we go. And go back through that 11, that Miyuki, and that 11 there. So it doesn't matter how many, beads or whatever beads you're using. The stitch is the same. You just have to kind of make sure that your tension is always pretty even. So now with this one, see with the Miyukis, I did the 11, the drop, and the 11. Now on this one, I'm doing the drop, the 11, and then the drop. And that little juxtaposition of the beads helps these drops to sit together really nicely. Come on. And of course I've got a knot. First thing to do is don't panic. Just get that thread through. Okay, there we go. Whenever I get a knot in my beading thread, the first thing that I do is I take a deep breath. That helps, I think, in my theory, it kind of helps to relax my hands, I guess. So I don't keep pulling on that thread and making the knot tighter and tighter. So try that. If you get a knot, first thing you do, take a deep breath. That might help in a lot of life situations anyway. So, I think it holds true for beading as well. All right, whoops. Come here, little Miyuki drop. These Miyuki drops are so cute. They're so have that nice little fat bulbous end to them. I love the way they sit together. Now notice here how that last one that I put in, that little drop wants to point down. So I have to push that drop up plus these drops up so everything sits together nicely, right? So I'm going to come in, go back through all three. Did I not put an 11-aught on there? I didn't. I'm going to do what I tell myself never to do, which is go back through that bead. And of course, I went back through the bead the wrong way. So let me take that off. It's all right. Another deep breath. Oh. Put on that 11. This isn't the quickest one. Go ahead and needle that thread. Now the 11-aught. Now the Miyuki. There we go. Now, get everything in there. Nice and even. There we go. And bring that needle back through all those beads and underneath the leather. And tighten. So I just need one more. If I'm going to match that one, I'll each. Andrea is saying, yeah, here we go. Each section of the bracelet, each strand, has its own needle and thread, but it's still, that's correct, just one needle per laddering. This thread fell out. Really? This side, the right side, does not want to be tamed. Let me pull that thread tail a little bit further down. Let me get this in there. And go through. Yeah, this is probably because the dream I had last night, I dreamt I was teaching a class. And I didn't know what class I was actually supposed to be teaching, so I had prepped for one class, and it was actually a different class. So I was scrambling around trying to find all the stuff for it. It was kind of funny. And I dreamt that it was in our old bead shop in Palo Alto, which was also kind of funny. But yeah, so this might be a holdover from that. I still have unprepared dreams, so I don't know if you folks have that, right? So, oh, and this is a great tip from Deborah. Use the wax over that area to condition the thread in the area that it got the knot in. Very good idea. It wouldn't hurt to wax this thread anyway, right? Give it just a little bit of body to it, a little bit of stickiness, not too much, just a little. So we'll get this. It looks like I need 4 bugle beads here. So let's do that pattern. Yeah, I think I was supposed to teach a necklace class, and I thought I was teaching a soldering class. 2 completely different techniques. I don't know. I don't know what that was all about. I still have the dream that I haven't been to class all semester, and then I have a final to take. I don't know if you folks ever have that dream. And I haven't been in school for a lot of years, but I still have that dream. And it's always a math test. Always. It's always a darn math test. Okay, so here we go. So I've completed that section there. Okay. So right here and here, I've just got to, I just have to make this the same length, and then let's check it. And then I'll show you how to change the threads, because we're going to have to weave these threads off anyway. I mean, I will on one. Let me see. I'll put in a, what do I want to do? Maybe these, how many do I need? 1. Oh, you know what? I haven't used many cubes. I'll put cubes in. Let me do this. An 11-aught, a cube, and an 11-aught. Let's see what that looks like. And you can taper it down. See, this little section that I made here is just a little smaller, but you can make it smaller kind of gradually, right? So you don't want to go down from like this bugle all the way down to an 11-aught, right? You want to gradually taper. But I think this cube and the 11-aught look really nice together. I love 11-aught seed beads, and I always default to 8-aughts because I want my project to be over faster. That doesn't sound very nice. I need to maximize my time with the project, I guess. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. But 11-aughts have such a nice look, especially with this 1mm leather. Look at how nice that is. And I like the texture difference between this 11 and this cube. I think it looks good. So this will be a good way to finish that up. Plus, cubes, I have found when you stack the cubes together, since they're so, since they're cubes, they've got such pronounced edges that they don't flow as nicely, I guess is the right term. They can be a little bit stiff if you stack one on top of the other. So this little 11-aught bead, I think, gives it a little more movement maybe as well. So I like the looks of that. You can also check out, Allie did some beautiful bracelets with this Melange mix. She also did some beautiful bracelets with the plain possum mix that we just released. You folks love that one so much. That one's sold out already. But you can look at the recipe and get the tubes for it. I don't know how Allie is so speedy and prolific with her work, but both of these bracelets look so good, and you can find them over on our Facebook group. If you do a search for Monthly Mix, you'll find a whole bunch of projects. You can also search Allie Mori in that. And just a friendly reminder, Allie is a customer just like you folks. So if you have questions, direct those over to info rather than at Allie in her DMs, because she does those for us out of the kindness of her heart, and we are so grateful for that. Okay, yeah, look at that. These weren't the same. Let me stop though, and let me zoom out just a little bit here. And let me see the length before I go any further. Okay. So my wrist is 6.5 inches. I'm going to take these needles off so I don't drop them. So my wrap bracelets, I like them to be about 7 inches or so. So here we go. This looks about right. Can you see how right here I'm about 2 Tyla beads too long? So I should have listened to myself earlier and measured it, but I'm going to take these 2 out. Plus, I also have to taper, right? I can't just abruptly stop. So let me take these out. Tapering is real important to get close to the clasp so it doesn't look awkward and so it fits really nicely. Okay, like that. I've taken out 2. Let me double check this length. Do I have enough to taper? Yeah, I think I need to actually take out 1 more. So much for all of my good intentions with a little bit of these Tylas, but I think this will be all right. Let me use my awl instead of struggling. That's what this tool is great for taking out stitches. There we go. And this one here. Sorry, my voice is a little funky. This morning I ate breakfast right before the broadcast. Never a good idea. But I was hungry, so I did. Pardon me. So you can find the recipe page with the individual bead for the monthly mix from Melange is there. And another quick answer, it's the 3mm cube that I'm using here. And then the flat squares are the Tylas, which are 6mm. Okay. That's it. And I'm using just 1 tube of the mix, and this is how much of the mix I have left there, Lynn. So I've got plenty. I have enough to make this actually twice as long, make it a double wrap around, which I could, but since this is just for the show and I want to finish it off, I'm just going to make it a single. Okay. So let me even this out. So here's this one. There we go. So I need to bring this to here and then taper this down. So let me do that real quick. Let me clip these. The clipping of the strands when you're doing a ladder bracelet, if you have trouble, if you're just like holding it in your hand and laddering and you don't have it clipped to a board, it's a lot more difficult to do, for sure. A lot more difficult. So here we go. Needle that thread. This thread is split, but I think it'll be all right. How much? I need to go about right here and then taper. Maybe I'll put these, the tilas that I was using on the other side. These are fast. They're fast ladderers. So I'll just bring that in. I don't mind that I kind of have two tilas next to each other. I just love the way they look laddered. Love, love. And go back. Let's break it up a hair by putting in a bugle maybe. Let's see how this bugle looks next to it. If it's the same length. It's maybe a touch longer, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. As long as the size difference is slight, you're not going to have a problem. Go back through, catch another bugle. Oh no, do the bottom hole. My brain is moving faster than my fingers. Oy. Take the thread out of the needle. Isn't that frustrating? Thank goodness today my needle threading skills are with me though. I'm getting kind of a short tail of thread, however, but let's see how long I can have this work for me, because I don't really want to add thread here, but I want to show you how to weave it off too. You get another tile, well, not tile bead, or tila bead. A lot of people call them tilas. I think you can do whatever floats your boat on that one. There we go. Let's see where we are lengthwise. I'm getting low on thread. That's the worst. That's my least favorite. Okay, so I'm going to taper down here, okay, like this. I'm gonna taper it to about here. And, you know, I like tapering with these Miyuki spacers like this. I'm going to put on 4 right there. Let's see if 4 is good. Yeah, 4. Then I'm going to go down to 3 with the tiniest tail of thread. 1, 2, oops, 1, 2, and 3. These are such thin little wafers that you can really nuance the length. So there's that one. And now 2, 1, and 2. And then I'll end it with 1. Back through, and 1 for the final. So I'm going to go ahead, and I've got just enough thread to weave this off, I think. Ugh. I should also wax the end of this thread. See how raggedy that is? So let me see, I've got my wax over here. Let me grab it. And I'll wax the end of this tiny thread. If I had just reeled off like a few more inches, I wouldn't be having this problem. And I don't even want to clip a hair of this thread off the end. So let me see if I can needle this thread. Okay. No, I'm going to have to clip it. I'm just going to have to. That's all right. And snips here. And of course my snips got tangled in something too. It's just tangle day here for me. There we go. Okay, concentrate on not losing that thread out of the needle. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm simply going to weave this thread. I'm going to weave it through the last bead one more time. And under. And through again. Now, with these beads here, I'm just going to go through the beads, not around the leather, though I could, but I'm just going to go through. Hold on to that thread so it doesn't come out of the eye. I want to get it back to these small holes here in the tile beads. See how I'm just going back through the beads? Can you see that? Let me get a little tighter in here. And now this small hole, let's see if it'll go through, of this bugle, and that's where I'm going to end it. Yes. All right, everyone can take a nice collective sigh, and I'm going to clip that thread off. Now, if I needed to start a new thread, right, if I was going to continue this on, I'd do the same thing. I'd thread my needle, I'd start back somewhere here, and I could even go around the sides here with my thread, but I just would go back and forth through the beads until the needle was in the correct position and then continue on with my laddering. I hope that makes sense for you. Okay, so you can see here, I'm going to just come in, and thankfully this strand is a little longer. And I think this is flipped the wrong way. Let me see. Yeah. Because my threads for laddering come out on the left-hand side right here. So yeah, you could use, there was a question about the threads. Ceylon would be too thick for this. You could maybe use micro in a single strand for just about everything with the exception of the bugles. Going back through the bugles have a pretty small hole. So I would probably stick with the KO. And you could definitely double your KO if you wanted to, right? For some weirdo reason, I just singled it. But it should be fine. I'm going to use 11/0 for this. So yeah, I didn't do any glue, Linda. Good question. You can put a little bit of glue on your thread before it goes through that last bead if you want. But the weaving should hold it. Some people will want to glue. I'm not a big fan of gluing when I absolutely, unless I absolutely feel the need to do it. So that's where I am with it. Okay, so here's this. Now I'm also going to come back here and I'm going to go through this last one twice. Once and twice. And I'm just going to weave this off. This one let me show you, I could go all the way back through and around the leather if I wanted to. Let me stitch back here. Because this is a single thread, it won't really show too much. But see that? I could go all the way around the leather. It's just doubled over at the end here. I want to get this back to that Tyla bead back there. Let me see if I can get it through this 11/0. There we go. Whoops. That's the other thing. When you double your thread over your needle doesn't keep falling off your thread. There we go. Let's get it to this one. And back around and through. Okay. Now I'm going to clip that extra away. And I'm good to go right there. Okay. So, let's see. Yeah. Drea glues everything. Drea would probably glue it. Right? So, you do you. I might glue it. I don't know. Today, live, I'm not gonna. But there's nothing wrong with gluing it for sure. Now, let's get this closed in and through this connector. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit here. Let me pull up my sweater sleeve. Let me double check. Yeah, there would be so much glue. The thing, if I were gluing, though, I would get my glue, I'd put it in a little puddle, I'd get my toothpick, I'd put a little bit of glue on that toothpick, and I'd put a little bit of glue, I'd put my needle through, right? So I have just a little bit of thread left over here. I'd use the toothpick to put a little bit of glue on that thread, and then I'd pull it through, okay? And then maybe I'd put another little drop of glue over here and pull that through. That's how I would glue it if I were gluing, okay? So, but look at how pretty this looks. And wouldn't this be pretty with a doubled wrap as well, right? This is just a single, but it looks double, right? Because it has 2 strands on it. But it would be very pretty. You can transition into like a whole different bead, or we could do something here on this side that's knotted or braided. That might look good. As she said, braided. Let me see. Let me just, it's Friday. right? Sometimes I like to change course right in the middle of something. Let me see. Just bear with me here a second. Make those even. Hold those down. I like a 4-strand braid. Over, under, over. Let's see if it might look weird. Let me just try it. Over from the left, under, over. Can you see that there? Silk. Oh, I should silk wrap right there. Yeah. Drea, smart. I just saw your comment. Yeah, silk wrapping's the way to do it. Yep. So, let me silk wrap. I'm going to silk wrap with leather. So let me do that. Yeah, because that transition was funky. It needed something. So this is the 0.5 millimeter leather. Before I silk wrap with the leather, I make sure and I pull it to make sure that there's no hidden little flaws in there. Now I'm going to lay this down so it's side by side like that. So it's not too mixed up. And then it's not twisted anymore, is it? Yeah, I think we're good. Now lay that sucker on there. And I'm going to silk wrap from down here up towards these 2 strands. Can you see it? Where's my silk wrapper? I think it's this one. With all of this cord being the same length or the same color, I can't tell which one is which. We have the silk wrapping skill builder on our website. We do it a lot with Ceylon, with Chinese knotting cord. You could do it with hemp, wax linen. Any of that will work. So see how my strands, they're laying kind of side by side. So when the silk wrap terminates, they're going to flow right into that silk wrap really nicely. And I'm going to silk wrap it really close up to the beads. I'm going to leave just a hair. I'll show you as soon as I get it around. Just a hair of space there. So there's movement here. Okay, so it's not right up next to the beads. I could have also, with the tails of my laddering thread, I could have put them underneath this silk wrap. I could have put the pieces together, added a little bit of glue, pulled those KO threads underneath this as well, and then silk wrapped them all together. So I wouldn't have had to have woven them back in. But seeing them woven back in, I think, is also a good trick. So you decide. I go through that loop. I pull this down. And I pull that connection. It's hard to see because my fingers are over it. But that loop now is getting pulled in underneath all of those. Okay. You could use a contrasting color 100%. I wanted it to match what I did here. So I did the same. But a contrasting color would also look great. So let me pull that. Oh, see? There we go. It pulled, but it broke right where it should have. That's the issue sometimes with these, with silk wrapping with the 0.5 millimeter, is that you have to really check it. And even though I did, that one broke there. This I am going to glue. I know I like to live on the beading edge sometimes, but this silk wrap, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the tip of that GS cement right in there, extrude some glue, and a little bit on this side, right where the leather goes in. Okay, so it's nice and tight there. Nice and closed up. Oh, you know what? It's not nice and closed up, is it? Well, if this happens, might have been disturbed from my glue. Oh well, then we do it again. You know what I have here? So I don't go through this again. I think I'm going to do this with the waxed linen. So this silk wrap is holding well, and I want to do the silk wrap on the end, but I'm just going to wax linen it. I have it sitting here. I know this is going to work okay. Plus, that silk wrap was a little long. Nothing wrong with a redo. A contrasting color, I think, would look really nice here, but since this is what I've got, this is what I'm going to go with. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. I still think the leather silk wrap would look real nice, but I want to make sure, especially in the midway of this bracelet, I want to make sure it's going to stay. So I'm all right with this too. This is the walnut wax linen that I had left over from probably the project I did for the Great Bead Extravaganza sitting here. That's why I never fully put my stuff away on my table. Yeah, there we go. See, it's really pulling underneath there. And this is walnut. Yeah. Tighten it up. Okay. Perfect. This is not going. I feel actually a lot better about this in the center. You could also macrame this too. And this needs no glue, zero glue. So I'm going to put, oh, and I didn't put the lid back on this glue. So you know what's over here? A little puddle of glue. Hang on, let me close this up. Okay. And let me wipe the glue off my table. There we go. Okay, so let me braid this, and then we're going to add the other half. We'll connect it to the clasp. And it's how I would do this if I were ending it here, right? Or I would be ending it at the end of the braid. It's the same thing. Let's see what this braid looks like. Here's a 4-strand braid. Over, under, over. You got to keep it tight. Oops. Over, under, and over. And over, under, and over. And this one here now becomes number 1, over number 2, under number 3, over number 4. Let me get the ball out of the way so I don't puncture myself. Over number 2, under number 3, over number 4. Okay. This braid, I think, looks really pretty in all sizes of leather. You've seen me do this before with bigger. I do this sometimes and just make a bracelet out of it. And I put beads on the number 4 strand, which is this one, and the number 1 strand. So the beads go along the outside of the braid, which is kind of cool. You just need to keep the tension right when you braid like this. Yeah, poor Dre and her COVID. It was almost exactly a year ago that I had my bout with COVID. My mom and I missed out on our quilting retreat that year. And so this year we didn't go either. I guess COVID set that precedent. I don't know. But yeah, it's a bummer, because then you have to isolate. You can't go out. But Dre is at the tail end. She's going to be back in circulation in no time. Right? And the 4-way braid, we did this. Whoops, sorry, but thank you, Teresa, for your kind words. This is the one I wanted to show. We did a 4-way braid in the new C Crowns project, and we did that C Crowns new, meaning 2022. Over, under, over. But that C Crowns is also a 4 braid like this. So let me check. I need to check and see if this is the right length. So just bear with me. I'm going to take it out of view for just a minute. I'm close. So I'm going to come here and I'm just going to clip the braid. Hopefully I haven't screwed this up. Over, under, over, and across. I think that's right. Yeah. That's why I never like to stop when I'm doing this braid, because I get confused as to where I am. Over, under, over, over. Yeah, my COVID bout, I basically slept it off. I got Paxlovid and I slept. I've got to get my next COVID and my flu shot this week. Next week, because it's Friday already, but got to get that going. So we'll be all safe and sound for the holidays, or at least as safe and sound as we can be, right? But yeah, appreciate every day, right? Every day we have in good health. That's what we got to do. There we go. Like this. We're almost there. So what I think I'm going to do here, I'm thinking ahead about how the heck am I going to close this. The trick will be keeping this braid tight so it doesn't unravel. Getting these ends through the clasp so they sit nicely, and then getting it back around so I can silk wrap it closed. That's the trick. So let me check this length one more time. Let me do 2 more braids. Here and here. Okay. Let me zoom out just a bit. The braid is always my go-to. If I don't know what to do for the end of a bracelet, a braid, look at how cool that braid looks, right? With it. I think it looks good. I braided too far, but that's okay. I want to take this braid out to about right there. Oh, that's a bummer. You missed Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool, the big Rhinebeck show. That's no good. I've always wanted to go to that show. We have Lambtown on our coast. It's in Dixon, California. It's our fiber fair in October. Lambtown is so awesome. But Rhinebeck is like the holy grail of fiber shows for sure. Everybody knits like a Rhinebeck thing, right? I love it. All right. So I'm going to check it. This looks about right. See, I have a place for silk wrapping and stuff here. So I'm going to come through. I'm going to clip it there to kind of hold it together. Now I'm going to get rid of some of this long strand of leather because it's kind of too much for me to deal with. The loops on these, so what I would do here, thankfully, all of these go through the loop. I have one that's an outlier, but I think it'll go through. But let's say that you want to use this clasp and not all of your cords will go through. Okay? So let's just do that. Let's not force that fourth one through. Let me put all three in, because remember on this one, I just looped, it was a single strand that I doubled over. So we have two, right? Linda, I'm with you. I still mask. I still, like on our, when I was on the plane, when I went to New Jersey, I masked on the plane for sure. And when Chris and I went to Las Vegas, we also masked on the plane, but I don't know. It just feels safer. And I agree. It hides a multitude of sins for sure. I'm going to come through. See here how I have this one outlier? I'm going to come around. And now I'm just going to silk wrap, and this one's just going to get silk wrapped underneath there, and it's just going to live there. It doesn't have to go through. And I could do that even with two of them. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do it with that one and this one. But this is the same way as I would do it if I had just finished it with a with the beading section, right? Right here. So two of these are going to loop through like that. Two of these are going to ride along. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use wax linen. Why not? There, I still have a piece sitting here. This wax linen, I always forget how much I like to silk wrap with wax linen. So see, those are the loose strands there, the strands from the braid there that went through the clasp. And I'm going to come around. Okay. And I'm going to wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap. I want enough loop at the end of this clasp so this clasp has some movement, but not so much that the loop will be giant. Okay, so that looks about right for me. I am going to put a little bit of glue in this one since I've got loose ends, but first I'm going to just pull this back. Now pull it through and pull it like so. See, nice and tight like this. Okay. This isn't going anywhere, these loose ones, but I'm just going to, in honor of Drea, see, it's so tight I can't even get the glue in there, the tip in there. I'll glue it just a little. That's probably about all the glue I can get in there. I could have put down a little bead of glue before I silk wrapped it, or I could have put a little bit of glue on the silk wrap thread before I pulled it through. Okay, I could do that too. So now let me go ahead and clip all this away. Clip away those. I'm going to clip away these top ones. I've got these two here that are kind of begging to be made into fringe. Please make me into fringe. So I will. Right? Let's do it. Let's see how it looks. If it looks horrid, I'll just cut them off. But never pass up an opportunity, in my book anyway, for fringe. Tree is saying to glue it all times. It's true. Look at that little precious nugget right there. I think it looks pretty good. Let me put on some, I think the spacers fit. Yeah, look at that. There we go. And do I have one more 6/0? I do. Let's go ahead. I'm going to tie an overhand, double overhand like that. Not quite the same length. Tighten it down. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, look. That looks fan-flippin-tastic, I think. Let's go ahead and wrap this sucker around. Let me get it in my view here so I can put this on. I'll put it right back into frame here in just a second. There we are. Look at how cute that is here, and here, right? So fun. Let me take it off so you can see it. Yeah, you could also glue these knots at the bottom. You glue at your level. There we go. I like to, get that closed. So let me set it up so you can screenshot this sucker. But look at how cute that is. You could braid beads in here, whatever. Okay, so that's that story. You could add a charm. I don't have any charms sitting here, but you could use a jump ring and attach a charm somewhere here like that. I think it's fun. But look at how great, like the melange part of this, the potpourri part of this is looking, right? Really nice. I want to make sure that this isn't twisted though. There we go. So you can see that. There it is. And yeah, this is a magnet clasp. It is. Oh, Leslie, you're hearing birds? I don't even hear them anymore, but yes, we have a ton of birds in our backyard. They just like to come and hang out. There we go. This little beehive clasp I like a lot. Too many names. Yes, the mix is melange. The bracelet is potpourri. That's what it is. And we do still have some of this potpourri mix like this. I have just a couple minutes, folks. So I'm going to shift gears for just a moment and show you that we also launched, you know how we were waiting for the colors of our next leather launch? Well, we got the round 4mm in distressed gray, which is gorgeous. And we got it in the distressed violet. Now, purple notoriously is a really hard color to dye, to work with and dye. Okay. So the purple, it's a little dark-ish, right? But it's still kind of a dark plum color, which I love. We have it also in the braided. You can see in the braided, it's a little lighter. And we have the distressed gray also in the braided. Okay. And I pulled a few of the projects. Oh, and we also got, sitting right here, we got the strap in black too. Finally. Nice and supple. Real, I mean, you could also use this. I want to use it for a handbag handle. Right. So nice. A nice thick, but super supple strand. I could definitely put this on one of my purses. It's a little over 2 millimeters in thickness, right? These go with our flat clasps that we have, right? This is one from a kit from the TGBE that I did a while back, right? But it's these flat 20 millimeter clasps that you want to use with that. You can also use, we did a show, Allie showed us how to clip the ends on it, remember? And I did a little macrame and stitched it in over there. Next week, we're launching our leather punches, our handheld leather punch and stuff. So I'll show you, I'll do some demos on that with this heavier. But look at how cool that looks too as a bracelet. Like this here, looks really pretty. So this is just fantastic. I love it just plain with the 4 millimeter bullet clasps that we have here. Where did that clasp go? I had it out and it probably caught on something. Here it is. This silver one looks great with this gray. And what I do is I just get some Zap glue. I had my Zap out here. I don't want to use GS. I want to use Zap. Here it is. And so we would add, let me see. Why are the tips of my glues so messy today? I'm going to add a little bit of that glue right here on the end. I'm going to keep my clasp clasped. I'm just going to push that in. There's a little extra dot of glue there. I'm going to let that sit for just a second. These clasps I just adore. And you can see here, see how they have like that little flange? So when it clips, it can't move sideways. These are great. And I love these just even plain like this. I think they look great as bangles. And this looks great even in the front. This one, I did some macrame. I did it with the 0.5 millimeter, and I glued, you bet I did, that end within an inch of its life. And look at how nice that looks there. We also have, I got it back there. I made one of these for a friend when we were visiting. We've got these round clasps. Remember these guys? These guys here. Oh yeah, put the lid back on the glue. I have it standing up. But see how it's really cool. I'm going to put this one around my neck so you'll see it. You'll see me wearing it in just a second. So let me cut this away. For my, this is about, let me measure right here so you can see this. This washes out to about 7 inches, including the clasp. So I'm just going to come in, line it up here. I'm going to clip it about right there. And I'm going to use my wire cutters to clip this 4 millimeter. So I get a nice straight cut. I mean, look at this distressed gray. Is so good. I just love it. You can see why I was so bummed that we didn't have it to launch with all of our other ones, but this is gorgeous. And look at this Look at that purple. Again, it's dark, like a dark plum. So let me go ahead and just double check this length. Whoops, that's the glued end. Shoot, I'm just going to re-glue it. That looks like the correct length. Okay, let me get that zap then. I'm going to get a little bit more in there, and then I'm not going to disturb it. That's the ticket. And I also, when I'm gluing these, I want to keep the clasp together. I'm just going fast because I don't want to run out of time for you folks. But see, I'm going to get that little bit of extra out of there. Now, oops, I got a little bit on the metal, which I don't want to do. There we go. Now I'll come in over here, put that zap on the end of my leather. See how that's kind of a little mound of zap? And zap is what I want to use. I don't use E6000. I don't use GS. I use the zap. You can see, yep, those are about the same length. Whoops. And you seriously want to let these sit overnight so that the glue has a chance to really cure nicely. And I'm pushing that end right in so the back of that leather hits the back of that clasp. I can also unclasp them now at this point so it doesn't have any stress on the magnet pulling apart here. Okay, like this. So I'm going to set this aside. So look at how cool these all look like stacked up together like this. I'm going to put those aside, and I just want to show you, this is our 5mm. We have these others, these barrels also in a 5mm. I use the 4mm for these, and you can see I'm really pulling on this. That zap really holds it nicely if you let it sit and cure. This is the 5mm braided. Let me cut off a length of this so I can work with it. This is the purple. I used it for, remember I did those boho bracelets? That's the boho necklace. Look at the boho necklace in this purple. Get out of town. So pretty. That will glue right there in that 5mm clasp. So let me glue this sucker down. Our die lots, and these will be ones that we'll carry, and we're getting some new colors as well. Okay, so don't worry. These are going to stay, and we'll have some additional colors coming as well. But these are all hand-dyed for us. Okay, so if you get some now, and then a few months later, you get some more, the die lot may be different. Okay, so just an FYI. If the color is what you really like, sorry, let me focus. If the color is one you really like now, get enough, because since again they are hand dyed, so they will vary from die lot to die lot. This is the one here. This is the gray, the distress gray. Can you see how the distress gray on the flat leather and the distress gray on the round is a little different? Okay, so that's just the variation. What I'm going to do here is what I like to do when I make these bracelets. I like to actually glue one side, and I like to actually let it sit and cure for a bit. Then I can play around with it and measure it, and this clasp will be stable. I'll cut, and then I'll put the other end in. Okay, after it dries a little bit. I also have, I want to show you one last thing here before I go. This is a piece I made a billion years ago, and it needs actually some polishing. I should have polished this before I showed it. But this is the same cord that I've used to make bolos in the past. So this is a bolo that I fabricated, hand fabricated a while back. But if you do want to play around with making bolo ties or some kind of a bolo piece, this is the same cord that I've used. This is that 5mm there. Let me polish this just a hair and then I'll pull back on it. Maybe I'll figure how to do some kind of cool bolo project. I fabricated all of this on the back so you can see that I did something here. This, again, needs polishing. But it's kind of cool, I think. So let me hold it up in the front so you can see that. But if you want to do some experimenting and play around, that's the same cord that I did years ago. Not that many years, maybe 3 or 4 years. I think pre-pandemic, so whatever that was. Time, I can't keep track. Yes, Pro Polish pads, I agree, Drea. After glue, my second favorite. Pro Polish pads are awesome. I use them all the time to polish my sterling and brass and copper jewelry. When I sell my work, I also always include a Pro Polish pad in there. They're really great. I need to wear this bolo. I haven't worn it in forever, which is why it's so tarnishy. But there you go. Okay. So that's what I've got for you today, my friends. My top camera again wants to fall out of focus, so let me focus it back. We finished the potpourri. That's what it's called. The potpourri wrap. We also looked at some of the new leathers, the 4mm and the 5mm, the braided in the distress violet and the distress gray. And we also have the new black strap. Okay, black strap leather as well. So, my dear friends, that is that. So, don't forget to follow us everywhere on social. That social engagement that you engage with us really helps others to find us. And when new customers show up for us at beadshop.com, it only makes us more and more happy. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but we really, really appreciate your support of our small business because without those of you out there using our projects, telling your friends about beadshop.com, sharing your work on social, we wouldn't be able to continue doing what we love to do best, which is sharing the world of beading and creativity with you folks. So thank you again so much. This is the I caught my necklace in there. Looks great with that round clasp. So go check out some magnetic clasps, the new leather. It's all over there right on beadshop.com. And if you have any questions, don't forget to shoot us an email at info@beadshop.com. If you don't get a reply, check that spam folder or your junk folders because we always reply to you. And to stay in touch, sign up for our newsletter. All right, my friends, I will be back next week on Wednesday for our Bead Shop Live broadcast. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic and creative weekend, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.